Roman Reigns had a historic 1,316-day world title reign. He has the fourth longest title reign in WWE history. He was chasing Hulk Hogan and trying to be the third longest reigning champion. He fell short of that mark. Roman pretty much laid waste to every big name in WWE for 4 years. So with this episode, we're going to look at stars from outside the company that would have added to his legacy. With AEW, TNA, New Japan, and various indie companies taking off, there are plenty of stars outside of WWE that could challenge the head of the table. Before we get to the list, remember to hit the like button with a Superman punch and spear the subscribe button to stay up to date on all the videos from Two Views Wrestling. Now that you've done that, let's start the list. Number 5, Bron Breakker. We are cheating a little bit with this pick. Technically, NXT is under the WWE umbrella, but these two never crossed paths, and I think it could be a great match. While Roman was on the main roster having his historic run, Breakker was in NXT dominating. These two are a lot alike, both second-generation wrestlers, both former college football players, both juggernauts that run through whatever is standing in their way. This would definitely be a match to determine who the real bull of the woods is. This match could have a great finish as right in the middle of Bron hitting the ropes at 100 miles per hour, Roman catches him with a spear. Bron was a guy I thought would be the one to end Roman's reign, so this match would have had a lot of excitement around it. Number 4, Kazuchika Okada. The Tribal Chief versus the Rainmaker would be a match people talk about for generations to come. Okada knows a lot about long title reigns. He holds records for the longest reign as IWGP Heavyweight Champion and the most title defenses of that championship. So, bringing him to try and end the run of the head of the table would have been epic. This match would have been great as Roman is underrated for his in-ring work, and a solid argument could be made for Okada being the best wrestler in the world right now. The only hindrance in the feud would have been Okada's ability to cut promos, but I think Heyman could do a good job hyping Okada as he cuts promos telling Roman not to take Okada lightly. With every Roman match, the Bloodline would get involved, and I think having Nakamura watching Okada's back is a good callback to their days in the Chaos stable in Japan. This epic match could end with an epic finishing sequence with Okada countering the Superman punch to go for the Rainmaker, just for Roman to duck it and then hit the spear for the win. Number 3, Jon Moxley. There was a trend for a bit where Roman would win a big match and then a major star would return to confront him. When he beat Edge, Cena returned. When he beat Cena, Brock returned. Imagine if at Royal Rumble 2022, Roman had beat Seth Rollins just for Wild Thing to blare through the stadium and Jon Moxley has shown up to confront his Shield brother. The roof would have been blown off the place and Roman would be staring down a ghost. Both Roman and Mox have had rivalries with Seth, but never against each other. They had a match for the WWE title at Survivor Series 2015, but that was more of a friendly contest. I think they could have had a great bitter feud. I picture this in a last man standing match with Roman and the Bloodline throwing everything at Moxley just for him to keep getting up until finally he breaks our hearts and doesn't answer the final count. Number 2, Jacob Fatu. Roman Reigns has been the baddest dude of the tribe for a long time, but the Samoan werewolf Jacob Fatu could be a legitimate threat to that throne. The promos for this would be great, as Fatu could talk about how while Roman was in college playing football, Fatu was surviving on the streets. While Roman was getting everything handed to him in professional wrestling, Fatu was fighting in jail. What would have been good about this match is Fatu wouldn't have just come for Roman's title, he could challenge for the head of the table. With Fatu's ability and arsenal, Roman would most likely have to pull out some moves we haven't seen from him before. I would have Fatu take out the members of the bloodline one by one so that he gets Roman one-on-one. This match would be great as a bloodline rules match. These two could pull out all the stops and use whatever weapons they could get their hands on. Ultimately, Roman would win and defend his title and his throne, but giving the tribal chief all he could handle would put Jacob Fatu on the map. Number 1, Kenny Omega. We could do a whole episode on the greatness of Kenny Omega. You can make a really solid argument for him being the best wrestler in the game today. He had some of the best matches New Japan ever saw, and he's the ace of all elite wrestling. Kenny Omega versus Roman Reigns would be like Adam Warlock versus Thanos. Roman would have never faced someone as good as Omega, and Omega has never faced anyone as powerful as Roman. Now, if I was booking this feud, I would make it a 3-match rivalry. Maybe the first 2, Omega has Roman beat, but we get bloodline interference. So you could either lock them in Hell in a Cell or ban the bloodline and do a 2 out of 3 falls match. Either way, you're guaranteed an incredible contest. You could get a lot of epic moments from these two. Omega countering the spear with a V-trigger, or Roman fighting out of the one-winged angel to hit a rock bottom or spear would blow the roof off the building. There is still hope that one day we can see these two wrestling supernovas collide.
All right, so hearing your list, obviously I agree with Kenny Omega. To me, it's like when Roman was his guy in WWE, Omega is the guy outside. And the thing is like Roman's run was so amazing, and Kenny Omega's even spoke on it, that I feel like if you're AEW, if you're Kenny Omega, you're like, yeah, I'll come in for a 3-month feud and be like, just so I can be a part of this dude's legacy, because we're going to remember the head of the table's run.
Yeah.
Which speaks insanely about this run. The fact that you go 10 years ago and we did not want Roman to be the guy, and then he goes on this run and we're all like, keep feeding him names because this run is amazing. Moxley, I love that choice as well. I wish we would have got that. And again, if you're AEW, if you're Mox, why not come in for a month or 2 stay to say, hey, add your name to this legendary run? And the thing is, Moxley as John Moxley feels head and shoulders above Dean Ambrose.
Right.
Like, it's like if he would have stayed in WWE and was Dean Ambrose and lost to Reigns on this list, to me, it's like Rey Mysterio. It's a name, but it's like, but if you come in as John Moxley and Roman Reigns beats you, it's way more epic.
Yeah, I like the idea of Roman's beat Dean Ambrose. He's never beat John Moxley.
Or
and it's
seen
like,
John Moxley.
Yeah, it's like that's a whole different animal. And it would have been cool. And I remember being we were at that Royal Rumble in 2022, and it was rumored that he might be there. And it's like, if you're Tony Khan and you talk about this Forbidden Door concept, try to make that work, because that would have been an epic. I mean, they could have main evented that WrestleMania that year. You have Moxley and Roman Reigns. That would have been epic.
I think Moxley would have done it.
Yeah.
It seems like him and Roman are friends.
For like a 1-match thing. And then it wouldn't hurt Moxley if you did like a last man standing match and 4 guys basically had to kill him to get him to stay down.
Yeah, no one looks bad in that case. If anything, everyone looks good that you're willing to work together and put on this banger match for the fans, for the storyline. And then my number 1, though, is Braun Breaker. Because the thing with Braun Breaker is I think he's the next special guy. And 20 years from now, we're going to look back at Roman Reigns' head of the table run when he had this extreme long run with the title, amazing run, and we're going to be like, dude, we were just a year early on Braun Breaker. Like, we almost got Braun Breaker to the point where fans would have been wanting him and Roman Reigns for that title over Cody beating Roman. Like, I still think a lot of us thought that this run was set up to have Braun Breaker beat it, and then Cody came back. Cody got extremely over, and that was the right call. But man, I think 20 years from now we're gonna be like, man, even if we would have just got a one-off of Braun Breaker Roman like we got with Riddle and
Yeah.
Roman, it's just another. Because there's some names on Roman's list that we're not going to remember when we look back at it.
Cesaro.
Yeah, but you add a Braun Breaker, you add a John Moxley, or Okada for a one-off, dude.
Yeah.
The roof would have went crazy for that as well. And then Okada, you do that one-off, AEW probably pays you $5 million instead of the 3 or 4 you
Yeah.
got. Like,
Yeah.
you make even more money.
I think with the Braun Breaker situation, it took a long time for someone to fill John Cena's shoes, and it ended up being the tribal chief Roman Reigns. I think that people are going to want to know who's going to fill Roman Reigns' shoes, and it's going to be Braun Breaker.
And I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm 100% behind Braun Breaker.
Dude, and it's just going to get better on Netflix when he can become the big booty daddy with his freaks.
Yep.
Like,
Cora J, get ready.
all right. In the comments, let us know some names that you wish we would have got to see on Roman's legendary title run.